Just kidding. Merry Christmas. I'm just gonna play a couple random songs. Oh, it's time for Brian to go. Okay. This is a chromatic. This is what Stevie Wonder plays. This is the diatonic. That's what everyone else plays.
How everybody doing? Hey, so for all the new faces, maybe you're not new. Maybe you think I'm new. That's how long it's been. I'm Brian. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, how are you guys? Today in Ohio, it is shorts and flip-flop weather. You guys see it out there? Snow's melting, sunshine is out. 12-year-olds are back to shorts and t-shirts. The world is right again. It's awesome. Thanks for being here tonight. There's lots of things to do the week before the holidays. I don't know if you guys know this, but Christmas is 8 days away. I don't know if you guys check your calendar. If you weren't ready, it's next week. So if you didn't know that, it's too late for whatever you needed to do. It's just, you're scrapping the locals at TJ Maxx for something you don't need at this point. Just give it all up. That's my only advice. Welcome to Story Slam. If you're looking at me and you're thinking, man, he looks like he just got his second in a series of shingles vaccines, you're right. My arm is really sore because I'm a limp. But I'm over 50, and my wife, for 9 weeks, has been saying, go back to Kroger, take off your shirt in the produce section and get a shot. So that's what I did today. It wasn't in the produce section. You weren't there at this group, Kroger. Okay, so we have a fantastic line of storytellers tonight. We have, let me check the sheet, 6 tellers tonight, some great tellers in the list. That's going to be a great lineup. Tonight's theme is celebrations. If you've never been here before, raise your hand. Anybody new? Whoa! Let's back up. Welcome to Story Slam. So tonight, as all the regulars know, thank you for all the regulars. I see your faces for being here tonight. These are live, true stories told in the first person. So what you're going to hear is a first person's experience in a story. Tonight's theme is celebrations. Is that correct? I'm way out of the loop, people. You don't even know. Tonight's theme is celebrations. So all the stories tonight will be on that theme, celebrations. Storytellers, if you didn't know that, now's your notice. It's celebrations. It's the theme. You have 5 minutes to tell your story. We're not looking for tall tales. We're looking for true stories about your experience. The teller should be the central character in the story. This isn't about your cousins, aunties, best friends, neighbor who did a thing once. This is about you and something that happened. A good story will have a beginning, a middle, and an end. A good story will have an arc of some sort. And a good story, there'll be a difference. There'll be a moment where things changed for the teller, right? Sometimes there's a resolution, and it's happy and we cheer. Other times, we scratch our heads. Other times, we cry. Or maybe it's just me. Some of us cry. Some of us just laugh a lot. If Taylor's telling a story, we laugh. So that's the theme tonight. It's celebrations. There's 6 tellers who can tell great stories. Your job is just to lean in and listen to great stories. We have Lisa at the door. She's the executive producer, director, manager, fiscal agent. She holds the glue together. That's Lisa at the door. Sandra, your normal host, is in Columbus tonight. She said something strange. Hold on. You guys know Sandra. This makes sense to you. She said, one second. She said something like, I need to go to Columbus that night. I was going to go after Slam, but if you can take the reins, I will. She said reins like a reindeer. Drive over earlier. I said, I got it. She goes, thanks. I said, I don't get to see you. Sad face. She said, I would look like a character from Frozen anyways. Ha. I don't know what that means. And for Sandra, she could be dressed up as any of the characters from Frozen. I said, yeah, I have no idea.
Let it go.
So, yeah. Let it go. Solid advice. Moving on from Sandra's itinerary. All right, you guys are a lively group. So, with the last minute switchover, we don't have slips. So we're going to wing it between stories tonight. Let me start with the story. We'll try to keep it upbeat and happy, all right? I'll do my best. No guarantee. My life's been a wreck lately. So, I don't know if you guys heard, but I won an election 42 days ago, and it's pretty crazy. You never plan for these things, and I had spent weeks preparing to lose. I didn't know, you just want to prepare for the worst. So my guys that I meet with every week, and my wife and friends, that was close to me knew that I was preparing to lose with dignity. And and not be an asshole like I was in the 80s. So I was prepared to lose, and then that night I won. But in preparation to lose, my wife and I had planned this 4-day vacation to Virginia. And this all makes sense in a minute, but we were going to Virginia to visit the 4 homes of the early presidents who all enslaved people on their properties. We wanted to see this history firsthand, so we were going to Mount Vernon, Monticello, Montpelier, and the Highland where that Monroe guy lived. So that was my vacation after the election, a little gift to learn some awful history about 4 of our founding fathers. We're a fun group. Sorry, it's a little nerdy, but that's just the truth. These are true stories. So Friday night, my wife has only been to DC twice. I'm like, well, we're already going to be at Mount Vernon. We might as well just jet over on the 95 and see the city real quick. So we did that. We went to dinner at a place I love, Old Ever Grill. And it's there that we're sort of celebrating this election. And my phone rings, and it's my mom. I let most phone calls, if you know me, they go to voicemail. Sarah, Jackie, Lisa. But when your mom calls, you pick it up. My mom has been facing some health issues, and we're waiting some results from a biopsy. And so at Old Ever Grill, I'm having the crab appetizer. It's fantastic, and I've got a port for appetizer, not dessert, but I can do what I want. So I'm in DC on a Friday night, and I answer the phone, and she sounded different, and she says the reports are back, and it wasn't great. I'm on the phone in DC on a Friday night, by the way, and the government just reopened. The place is a buzz. All the cool kids are at Old Ever Grill. You can see the shit show of construction at the White House right across the street. The panhandlers are out. All the merchants are out. It's buzzing. All the 8th graders are back. Like, DC's on fire that Friday night. And so I'm in the booth, crab, spinach appetizer, port wine. My wife unlimited Diet Cokes because the servers are great. And she says those words, stage 4 or 5 months without treatment, a year with treatment. Well, suddenly, the crab is not so great, and the atmosphere is different. We work through it, but people at the next table notice. Like, we're in DC, a lot of crap goes down, but they noticed, and they come over and say kind words, and they didn't buy the dinner, though. That would be nice, but they didn't. They were sympathetic, but they weren't sympathetic for my $125 bill, which is fine. I didn't ask them. So we get to the phone call. I finish our trip. Nothing more depressing than stage 4 cancer for your mother and a short-term diagnosis is getting up the next morning and driving to Montpelier for a tour of enslaved people, where you see the thumbprints of 10-year-olds who made the bricks that built the president's house, or the quarters. Sort of put it in perspective. I come back and TikTok does it, or Instagram does this thing where it shows you what you should see. Let Instagram show you. And they brought me a Harry Baker. He's a poet from the UK. And I've listened to his poem. It's called Before I Die. And he outlines how he wants his funeral and his wake to go. And he says it's okay to cry. It's okay to chat. And if you don't want to chat, I hope there are games in the corner for you to play. And he says, here's the menu. This is what I want you to do with me when I'm done. But he says, the only thing that's worse than going now is I'm going without you. And I hope to see you again. And he says this, let's also do this loads before I die. Let's do this loads before I die. Meaning, gather, tell stories. So I come back, and my mom is a retired nurse. She grew up poor, Appalachian, she's all business. She doesn't want to talk about this. So she comes to Thanksgiving, we just act like everything's fine. It's really weird. It's not fine. But we do this loads, and we played games, and we ate too much, and I sent her home with leftovers. But this week, my sister came into town, as you'll do, and we did it again. We planned for the next party Saturday, when her sister comes up, and the next party after that, and the party after that. Because all we can do is do it loads and loads. fun stories. I promise I'll close with something upbeat. But it's new, you know, and the election is old now. We got other things to work on, so that's where we are. So tonight, 6 storytellers. A few reminders. If you're here for the concert, you're in the wrong room. That's okay. Also, the bar's open. Make sure you stop and see them. Every time you stop by and buy something, tip the server. Buy 2 drinks. Buy 2 of something that keeps us in this building, and just makes it easy for the bright side to keep having us back. And we love Carly. She's in the back. Thank you for having us again, Carly. You see Sandra, say you missed her because she's not here, and this night's just going to be a wreck without her. So just be thankful she's back in January. With that, let's get our first story. Shannon Finn. Shannon. You're first. That's 2 years ago. 7 years. All right, she's got your timer right here. 5 minutes, go.
When I walked into a crowded ER at Children's National Medical Center with my 8-year-old daughter, they didn't make us wait. And as urgently as I wanted to know what was wrong with her, I knew not having to wait in the ER was never a good thing. Over the next few hours, she was poked and prodded. They drew dozens of tubes of blood, ultrasound, x-rays, CT scan, MRI, and finally, they admitted us to the pediatric ICU. A few hours later, a doctor came around and pulled us away from the bedside to talk. They have special rooms like for that in the hospitals, you know, where they're stocked with lots of tissues. He started talking, and I really did not hear a single thing he said. It sounded like the adults on Charlie Brown, just this wah, 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 wah. All I could do was stare at the embroidery on his starched white coat. The embroidery read Pediatric Oncology. The next morning, we were visited at the bedside by social worker and child life specialists. They also brought us to that social room. And they told us things like, you can't treat her differently. When she feels good, she still has to empty the dishwasher. She still has to do her homework. And then they said, and you can't promise your daughter that she won't die. I'm not a violent person, but I really wanted to punch that woman. I wasn't ready for anything like that. The next few months were a blur of chemotherapy and complications and chemotherapy and complications. But Ashley handled it better than we did. She faced cancer with grit and humor and moxie. When we told her her hair was gonna fall out, she said, I want my ears pierced. And I want a mohawk. And she got both. A pediatric oncology ward is like somewhere between Disneyland and a war zone. There's celebrity visitors, there's therapy dogs, there's the most stocked playroom, but there's also children dying. Friends of my daughter were dying. I remember one of my mom friends told me about taking her 5-year-old son to a cemetery so he could pick out his own plot. I couldn't imagine a more brave or honest act on any battlefield that I've ever heard of. Eventually, Ashley finished treatments, and right when our lives were getting back to normal, she started complaining of hip pain. The MRI was abnormal, and her oncologist sent us to another oncologist, very specialized in oncology. This is an orthopedic oncologist. He wasn't at Children's Hospital. He was the adult hospital across the way. It was such a contrast to Children's Hospital. It wasn't bright and colorful and vibrant. It was dark and gray and dingy. And this man walked in, and he looked at her scan, and he pulled a curtain across with Ashley on the other side. And he spoke to me as if that curtain had any soundproofing ability at all. And he said, flatly, it's back. It's not good. If it came back this fast, I'm going to schedule you for a bone marrow biopsy. I put on the biggest smile I could and opened the curtain, took my daughter home. We had a bone marrow biopsy scheduled for Christmas Eve. And we spent all day at the hospital we had to stop by the grocery store on the way home because damn it, I was gonna make this the best Christmas ever. As we were pulling up to the checkout, Ashley says, "Mom, did you get stuff to make cookies for Santa?" And I looked at my sweet 8-year-old girl who had gone through so much, and she still believed in Santa. I circled back out. We got the stuff for the cookies to make for Santa, and we got carrots for the reindeer, and we did it all, and I went home, and I had a pile of presents to wrap because we bought everything that year. And I was up half the night wrapping presents, and the next morning we were unwrapping them still until noon, and the phone rang. It was Ashley's oncologist. We weren't expecting a pathology report for several days, but she had gone in herself, gotten the sample, made a slide, and went and looked at it. And she said, "It's avascular necrosis." And I said, "What's that?" And she said, "It's not cancer. Merry Christmas." And I laughed, I cried, I sobbed, and then I looked at this pile of presents and I thought, how much of this crap can I take back?
One more time for Shannon. The whole time back there, I'm like, good inning. We need a good ending. It's week before. Come on. Perfect. I used to work for a charity that worked with sick kids, and one of my sick kids that I dealt with my first year on the job, I graduated nursing school back in the spring, and I got to see her dad recently. And I thought, is that crazy? All the time she spent at Cincinnati Children's, and now she's a pediatric nurse at Dayton Children's. Like, big things can happen. Shannon Finn, everybody. Shannon Finn. All right, we're gonna move right along. I don't have any funny, witty quips in between. I'll come up with some later. But we're gonna do a couple stories. We'll take a break and then do some more stories. So next up, Donnie Fepp. Donnie, where are you? There he is. Donnie, keep clapping until he gets here. Keep going, keep going.
Good evening. So most of us have a serious negativity bias. People are more attracted to the negative than the positive. It's just a thing. Most of us can count up really quickly a list of complaints a lot more quickly than we can think of a list of things that we have to be happy about or celebrate, even though we're told to count our blessings. And so that's sort of ironic to me. And you know, as you get older, you kind of start to take a different stock in things. And I celebrated my 40th birthday this year, and I really celebrated it. And I am very certain that I'm on a very pivotal point in my journey. But with that being said, you know, I started to really think about things like, you know, insurance and blood work and retirement investments, things like that. And, you know, thinking about the future and how many decades are left and that sort of thing, and family history and whatnot. And so one thing that's important to know here is that I have 5 siblings, all of whom are females. Right? Yeah. All the judges in the room just were like, this just went to a nightmare instead of a celebration. Missed the assignment. And none of whom share the same biological parents as I do. Right, so now you've got like 3 questions, right? Yeah, like which one of my parents was a whore? Guys, it's always the dad. Always the dad. Donnie Appleseed, right? This guy's Donnie Appleseed, I was named after him. And with that, I have to say that my sisters, the biggest gap is between the third one and me, number 4. 10 years apart, and sometimes we get things like, oh, you guys must be twins, or, oh, what a cute couple. And I'm like, yeah, we have Appalachian roots, but, you know, definitely Midwesterners. And my sister Dawn is an amazing person. She's someone to be celebrated. She's a far better person than I can hope to be. And it's great when you have siblings that are your seniors, because you can learn vicariously through them. And she's just a fabulous person, inside and out. She's very devout. She's practices her religion. She sends me her daily devotions when she thinks they'll connect to me, and somehow the universe knows exactly when I need those, and that's great. But she does have like one really toxic trait, and the holiday season always makes me think of it, and it's that she's a terrible, terrible gift giver. Like, I'm pretty certain that she just goes around her house and collects up stuff she doesn't want anymore and wraps it up, and sometimes she forgets to take off the residual wrapping paper from last year when it was a gift that somebody gave her that she didn't really want. And she does this, and everybody knows it, but no one will tell her. And I feel like I should maybe tell her, but I don't. But along the lines of celebration and her lacking a little bit of couth, she invited me to her husband, who's been her partner since she was 14, to his 50th birthday party. And he's 11 years older than me, so this is, I'm 39, he's 50. And you're just happy to be on the list. It doesn't matter if you're first or last on the list, you just want to be in the room. And there's the whole day of limo around it, going places, drinking, whatever, debauchery. And when we arrive at the venue where this party is going to take place, there's his family, and let me tell you, his family is nothing like mine, okay? And I'm thinking, oh gosh, okay, my sister is pretty toxic. I'm going to sit and talk to her mother-in-law and her brother-in-law, and that's what I'm going to do for her, because she would do that for me. And I'm pretending to be very sober, and I wasn't. But maybe they didn't know that, because they're not used to inebriated people. But regardless, my brother-in-law has an older brother, a few years older than him. And they had a pretty rough adolescence because their father had, several forms of cancer that would go into remission. He would overcome it, then something else would come back. And he battled for like 27 or so years and then succumbed to his disease. Unfortunately, after his grandchildren were born, and he got to experience that. But so my brother-in-law's brother, you talk about your first impression. What about your last impression? I'm talking to him, and I'm like, hey, you're looking really good, man. What's going on? And he's like, yeah, I'm not trying to lose weight. Now, the thing that I knew was that for the first time in his life, and he's in his 50s, he's met a lady, and they're dating, and I'm thinking, oh, this is great. This must be the female influence. Talk about put your foot in your mouth. Because when he turns his head kind of to the side, you see like a golf ball size lump here that his skin is taut, and he's like, oh, this isn't, I don't know, I just got a biopsy, I'll find out next week, I'm worried because of Dad, He's like, but to her credit, it was because she made me go to this couple's Halloween party last Halloween, and I had to shave all this off, and so then I found this pea-sized thing, and now it's this, and anyway, that was the last conversation I ever had with him, and I'll tell you, the 63rd day after that Monday, and that was a Saturday, he passed away. So 63 days from diagnosis to death. And at that funeral, people came in droves, amazing person, all these people from his career, from his long, illustrious career, what a great coworker he was, what a great employee, amazing guy, how on his deathbed in hospice, when people come to visit him, he's telling them, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to pick up that project, I left it undone, that sort of thing. And I couldn't help but think, that is what my funeral is gonna be like. Because I'm a little bit of a workaholic. I'm a little bit too career-oriented. And so I've really started to make that shift. And so when it comes to that, I gotta say, are we working to live or living to work? And why does celebration have to be an event? Maybe we don't know when our first anything or last anything is gonna be, so maybe our first thought of the day and last thought of the day should be to celebrate living. Thank you.
Time for Johnny. Okay, we'll make an announcement. Storytellers 3, 4, 5, and 6. Cancer is off the list. We're now looking for birthday parties. Anything over the age of 90 would be great. Little League championships are in. Cub Scout, Girl Scout awards are also positive tonight. The gift that you didn't know you were going to get also on the list. Cancer, we're done. Everybody fair? Any questions? If you're a storyteller 3, 4, 5, or 6, if you need some time to edit, we'll take a moment right now. We're good? We're good? Okay. When I was a kid, a short story, my grandfather, that's my mom's dad. I come from a long line of Appalachian white trash in Claremont counties. We know. We're people, yeah. Long respect to Hillsborough and Amelia. So my grandfather was a jack of all trades and master of none. Like, he wasn't even good at being a grandpa. But if he's good at one thing, he was good at shooting fireworks shows. He was a master pyrotechnician for Rosie's famous fireworks in Loveland, Ohio. And my grandfather, Ralph, Pete, whatever they called him, was best friends with Joe Rosie, who founded the company. And my grandfather's really good at this. He built this new system of shooting fireworks and the way he created shows, and he was the architect behind EBN Fireworks and Americana, Kings Island, and the Reds. And that was his career until late 80s, early 90s. So as a kid, the holidays, like Labor Day, Memorial Day, July 4th, all the big firework holidays, it was like a family reunion. It was like a white trash reunion. We'd all roll up to the fireworks spot with our coolers. My grandma would make ham salad sandwiches, and we would set up the fireworks show. And as a kid, it was just one of the best things I ever did. You go back to school and tell people that you shot a fireworks show at Americana over the weekend, they didn't believe you, right? But I haven't been to a fireworks show since like the 90s because he doesn't shoot them anymore. It's very weird to me because I don't want to sit in a crowd, right? Like it's lame. You want to sit like where you can smell it, like where the paper falls on you. But this is where I'm going with this. After the fireworks shows, in Cincinnati especially, or Fairfield, Hamilton, that area, we would go out to Frisch's at 10:30 at night after the show. And everybody was a buzz, like, because the fireworks show went great, everything went well. And the kids, like, well, in fact, like me, get whatever I wanted. And that meant hot fudge cake sundae, right? The hot fudge cake. And lately, I've been mourning the loss of Frisch's in the greater Dayton area. I haven't been to a Frisch's in 15 years. But the thought, like, there used to be a hot fudge cake at your reach when you needed it, and now it's not there, you know? You didn't know you needed it till you can't have it. So I've just been mourning that. I don't know why I shared that story with you. So do something fireworks, think a little short fat brine, and hot fudge cake afterwards. All right? That's what you take away from this. There we go. Oh, I know why. So I was talking to the Rosie family this week on Facebook. A very weird thing happened. And I was like, hey, my grandpa. And they're like, oh, we know that guy. I'm like, never mind. We're good. You guys ready for another story? A celebration, non-cancer. All right, Keith Davis to the stage. Take the short crowd coming around. Keith Davis.
So I hope you'll all forgive me. I wasn't planning on being up here tonight, but I had been thinking about this topic over the month, and since I was up here last, and it occurred to me when I was thinking about it that the idea and the nature of the celebrations that I live with has changed dramatically through my lifetime. I want to start like in my teens and college years. We would celebrate things like Halloween and New Year's Eve, and a couple of those I was very fortunate to live through, and things like that were the big events. And then you get married and things start changing. And the year that I turned 27 in 1982, I went to 7 weddings that summer. And those were the kind of celebrations that you experienced. And following on after those 7 weddings, you see the christenings, the birthday parties for the children. And you go to the first birthday party and the second birthday party, and then that start wearing off. And then, it started in the 90s, and I'm sorry, it starts to be funerals. It starts to be other things that happen in your lifetime. And so, in 2023, I gave 4 eulogies. And they were all characterized as celebrations of these people's lives. And I want to tell you, they really were, because the people that were there really loved these people. And we talked and we spent time and we laughed and we joked, and I did my best to memorialize those people in a way that was meaningful. And that's a celebration of a life. And so, there are worse ways to spend your time than to spend a lot of time thinking about a person that you love and celebrating who and what they were. And so while I reflect on 2023, and I hope I never have to do that again, if I'm called on, I'll be glad to do it, because this is more the normal part of life today. Anymore, if I manage to sleep through the night without having to get up to pee, I feel like celebrating in the morning. And so, it's just the nature of living a life. And so, one of the things that happened to me in my early middle ages was that I damn near drank myself to death. I found out a couple years ago that I actually had cirrhosis when I got sober. My liver is scarred, and so now I get a scan every 6 months. But I've been sober for 32 years. No, that's just because a whole lot of other people got sober before me. And they carried that message to me, and they made life worth living for me in a way that I could never have imagined. And it was in that process of the celebrations, the kind of things that we do in AA, that I started to see that there was a possibility to live life in a different way. And so when I first met Jackie, I was 2 days sober. I was in a church out at Ailey Church in Beaver Creek. And a young woman got a 5-year token. So we commemorate periods of sobriety by handing out these tokens in the Dayton area. And so I was stunned. Now, I'm 2 days sober. I came to AA on a Tuesday. This was a Thursday night. And I literally was. I was stunned. I could not fathom the idea of 5 years without drinking, much less, and she looked to be in her mid to early 20s. And so, we mark these occasions by, giving a person a token and then letting them stand up and tell us what it was like and how it is today. And so, when I was about a year sober, I kind of accidentally found a meeting up in Northridge. It's called a Vision for You group. And it became my home group. And I'm not going to go into details, but home groups are a really important part of staying sober and living a quality life in Alcoholics Anonymous. And so I was driving from Kettering to North Dixie Drive every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for this meeting and then driving home. And after I'd done that for 10 or 15 years, it occurred to me that I had driven around the world to go to this meeting, the mileage that I put on my car to do that. By now, I've driven around the world 3 times. Now, if you told me when I came to AA in order to stay sober you'd have to do that, I'd say it can't be done. But what I get to do in that meeting, on Memorial Day every year, I get to give away, this last year I gave away a 20-year, a 22-year, and a 40-year token on Memorial Day weekend to people that I sponsor. And each one of them gets to stand up and tell what they did to stay sober, and we celebrate them. But the most remarkable thing about the life that I've been given is that I wouldn't miss that Saturday morning meeting for anything. The only time I'm not there is if I'm not in town. And I walk into that room, I'm always early. So the meeting starts at 10, I'm always there by 9:20, 9:30. I have a regular seat, I sit down at the end of the table. We get about 40 people at the meeting every Saturday. And I'll sit there at that seat, I'll say hello to the 1 or 2 people that are there already. And then I'll sit down, and then as more people filter in, I'll get up and I'll walk around and shake hands and hug the people that are new, and then I'll go sit in my seat again, and then I'll watch the same thing be repeated by the people that have just come in. They'll walk around that room and they'll shake hands and they'll hug the people that have come in. And it becomes this cacophonous, joyous event where all these people, and I'm telling you, all these people that have known each other for decades, well, in truth, there's only 3 of us left that were there when I first started going to that meeting. Most of the ones that aren't there, they either split off and went to other AA meetings, or they died sober. But that's my family. Those are the most important people in the world to me. And it is the most joyous thing that I can think of experiencing, to sit at that end of that table, and on some days to just have the tears roll down my cheeks as I watch one person after another come in, embrace, and say, hi, good to see you, glad you're here. And we have this saying in Alcoholics Anonymous, it's called, don't leave until the miracle happens. I want to flip that around a little bit, and the truth is that if you stick around long enough, what you get is you get to see the miracle happen for countless other people. You get to see the light come on in a person's eyes that was dead when they came there a month or 6 weeks or a year before that. And so every Saturday morning, I have the greatest, the most joyous celebration that I can imagine by spending the time with my family and friends at the Vision for You group. Thank you.
Time for Keith. Okay, to the people who have texted me, tapped me on the shoulder, and let me know where all the locations I can still get hot fudge cake. You're my people. Thank you. Text messages, taps on the shoulder, little nod. We're all together here. The way that he feels about his Saturday morning meeting is how I feel about this building. I was here 2 weeks ago for Pecha Kucha. Mike, you were here. Sarah, you guys are all here? Yeah, remember that was fun. I was emceeing this event in the other room, and it's like homecoming. You show up at this place, and dating people here. There's hugs, there's high fives, really nice people. It was really great, and that's what it was like tonight. So if you feel that in this room, you're not alone. So I like seeing your faces, and you can drink if you want, or don't. There's water or iced tea in my case. So, but I'm glad you're here in this room, and I've watched some of you guys for a long time. I feel like Cynthia and Amy, we go back a long time. How it's been a long time. So the Slaytons are different. It's been a really long time for them. They are pre-Story Slam people. We go back to the early 2000s, but the rest of you guys, modern age. Yeah, they knew. It's a long story. But thanks for the hot fudge cake recommendations, everybody. We're gonna meet up later. I was gonna say something else really funny. I forgot. Okay, quick intro. I saw Sarah for a hot minute at Temple Beth Or about a week and a half ago for the brisket lunch. You should go every year, by the way. If you don't, you should. But let me tell you a quick story about the first time, if you haven't heard the story. My friend, one of the board members at work, is a member of Temple Beth Or. He knows I like briskets. He said, hey, we're at a brisket lunch at the temple, you should come. I was like, I'm down for some brisket. He didn't tell me it was Jewish brisket, it wasn't Texas brisket, it's not the same, it's a similar part of the animal, it's different. I went. But I forgot that I pre-ordered, and I'd been out of town, and I woke up on Sunday morning, we'd skipped church, and I was like, we gotta go pick up a brisket. And I just won election to city council literally a month before. And I'm thinking, oh, it's gonna be like the St. Albert's fish fry. I'm gonna swing in, pick up your box, swing out, no one's gonna notice. So I'm in dirty sweats, a stained up sweatshirt. I hadn't shaved in 5 days. I hadn't showered in 2. We've been in Chicago the day before, and I roll into Temple Beth Or feeling incognito. When I get to the line, I'm like, reservation for 2 for Sudeth. I have this pre-order, just brisket. And she's like, okay, Mr. Sudeth, come around the side. And then from across the room, I hear, hey everybody, Brian Sudeth, your new city councilman. There's literally a stain right, and I'm like, I'm wearing a ball cap on a Sunday in a temple with a stained sweatshirt. I hadn't showered in 36 hours. It's Stephen Solomon. You know Stephen? Yeah, well, it all makes sense. And so it's something I'm like, I get the brisket, I head to the door, and Stephen's like, no, come this way. In this room is blah, 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 you know, the vice president of the Chamber of Commerce. Hey everybody, look who's here, Brian Sutter, these new city councilmen. I'm dying. Sweat is going down the dirty hoodie at this point. I make my way to the door. When I see the board member from work who invited me, he's like, Brian, let me introduce you to the ladies in the gym where they're having this holiday Hanukkah bazaar. Like 40 vendors. Every shade of light blue menorah this side of Mississippi in this gym. And they want to show me around the new city councilman who's wearing dirty sweats he slept in from the day before. I finally get out the door after speaking to the junior assistant rabbi, whoever the guy was, really nice, and I give him my card, and I get back to my truck. And I go home, and I make a pledge. I'm never leaving the house. In a ball cap or anything less than khakis and button down ever again. Fast forward, I went 2 weeks ago as the newly elected mayor of our fine city. Very bizarre, but I was dressed appropriate. And I didn't see Stephen Solomon until I was on my way out the door, dropping my trash in the box. Score, and we skipped the bazaar. My apologies. Okay, there we go. Celebration. So you get the brisket. I'll see you next December at Temple Beth Or for the brisket lunch. Let me know you're going. Okay, all that to say, this year Sarah Kaplan was there. I saw her, I got a hug, and she didn't embarrass me in front of all her friends. So please welcome to the stage for the next story, not about cancer, Sarah Kaplan.
Hello. So one thing about me is that I love a convenience food. I am not afraid of a boxed macaroni and cheese, and the most dangerous place to be in November is between me and a bowl of stovetop stuffing. So all of that to say, I do not mind prepackaged, pre-made food, but we all of us have our Rubicon, over which we will not pass. Our Balrog, we will say, shall not, right? And for me, that is boxed latke mix. Now, I can tell there are many, many Jews in this room. I feel it. So, those of you who are, please bear with me as I describe to you, maybe the one or two of you who are not Jewish. A latke is a potato pancake in its simplest form, and it is very frequently eaten it's traditionally eaten during Hanukkah, in the middle of which we are currently sitting. So, Hag Samayach to the many, many of you who I know to be Jewish along with me, since Brian blew my cover. And boxed latke mix is made by the lovely people at Manischewitz, whose other convenience products I eat with joy and gusto, and sometimes relish, depending on what it is. But let me explain. And one of the reasons why, you say, what does this have to do with celebration? My family celebrates Hanukkah in many ways, and one of them is that we throw a little party. There's laughter from the one person in this room who has been to that party, because to say it is a little party, what I mean is that my parents' not substantial house in historic Dayton View swells to hold, I think, at one year our maximum 120 people within its walls. And during that time, during that period of hundreds of people in my parents' house, I am sequestered in the kitchen, chained to a skillet, frying latkes, fresh. Latkes that I have hand grated up to about, I think at one point we did 20 pounds of potatoes. And I sit all night and I fry them. And every year I think, I'm gonna count this year. I'm gonna count the number of latkes I make, but it's impossible because it is chaotic. And I sometimes think about the fact that were I living in that house, I would be the third generation of my family in that house. My father lives in the house he grew up in. We moved back here to do that. And I think sometimes about the continuum. Not only in that house, but kind of in a larger scale. We talk specifically at Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah. Those are called the High Holy Days. In case you didn't know, Hanukkah is actually a really minor holiday in like the pantheon of Jewish holidays. It just kind of became a big deal because I don't know, there's something about giving gifts in December. I'm not sure. But Hanukkah itself is a really minor holiday in the religion. And we talk about it on the High Holy Days. We talk about how the fact that you're saying prayers that people have said for 5,000, almost 6,000 years, ties you into a continuum of all the faiths. And almost every year, at some point during it, I think, and I probably don't need to belabor why maybe this year and this week it means even extra, but I think about the fact that my grandmother stood in that exact same kitchen, and she fried latkes. And I think about the fact that my great-grandmother sat in a tiny apartment frying latkes, and that her mother sat in a shtetl in Lithuania frying latkes. Because as long as there has been Hanukkah, and as long as there have been potatoes, there have been latkes. And what was at one time an onus for me to be the latke wench, to be the one who had to stand there and fry and smell like, you know, have been sleeping in a McDonald's, has become now to me an absolute joy. And it has made that night, that chaotic night of celebration, honestly my favorite night of the entire year. Thank you.
Sarah Kaplan. Do you want to borrow my Cuisinart? You just put it in, the potato goes in the chute, and you push the thing, and it just does it.
If there's not a little knuckle skin in the latkes, they're not. See you Saturday.
Okay. This is what I learned recently, by the way, at the brisket lunch. They eat latkes 2 ways. You have to choose applesauce or sour cream. Applesauce seems so weird to me, so I am solidly team sour cream. I didn't even know where to see, and that's Sarah's team too. We talked about this earlier. I knew there were teams. I picked the right team. Applesauce on potatoes sounds weird to me, but
It's not bad.
listen, my wife ate it with like a little spoon, like a toddler at lunch, and the people were staring. They're like, I just dipped the potato. She's like, I'm just eating the applesauce. So she's like, I'm the first lady of this town. I'll do what I want. I'm like, fair. You do you. Who am I to tell her? All right, we ready for some more stories? Hey, come on. Cynthia, are you ready? Where'd Cynthia go? Oh, there she is. You ready? Cynthia Rush. One of my favorites. I said it. One of my favorites. Cynthia Rush, Tuesday.
Okay. This is completely and totally unrehearsed. My husband was in a nursing home for the last 18 months of his life. And while he was there was an event that shaped me, that I have carried with me. At one point, he was in a memory unit. And I had been there visiting my husband, and this little lady came running up to me as I was about to leave. You have to go through the whole process to get out the door, they lock it. She comes running up to me and she said, excuse me. And I said, yeah? And she said, can I be you? And I had to process this. And at that moment, the only thing I could think to say was something sort of flip. And I said, no, I'm being me right now. And so I exited and I went home. But I kept that little conversation in my head. This was really kind of surrealistic. It was like an existential idea, And it was not really a time in my life when I felt that my life was so desirable that somebody else would want it. I mean, I didn't want my husband to be in a nursing home. There were a bunch of things. So fast forward, my husband died. I got life insurance. Time passed on. 4 years ago, which was 2 years after he had died, almost 2 years after he had died, I fell and I broke both wrists. And I was in the driveway, I was cleaning some stuff out of the garage, and there was this bag that, a canvas bag that I flipped over, and I kind of did this with it to shake the crap out of it. And I thought, I could put this in the washing machine. It was one of those bags that you carry a chair to a concert. So I did this, and 5 mice came running out in all directions, and I did this. And that was when I landed on my wrist. So I had been going from dentist to dentist to dentist to dentist, saying, I think we got a problem here. I had flown over the handlebars of my bike the year I turned 40, which I'm now 70, almost 73. Okay, so it was a long time ago. Flew over the handlebars of my bike, went through a bridge, and eventually had to have implants. And the guy who put in the implants had been a very good prosthodontist. But I could pull my lip up and you could see the screw underneath it wasn't supposed to look like that. So I kept going to these different dentists and saying, I got some stuff that comes out of this. And they'd say, oh, he did a great job. He did a great job. Because there's an old boy network to everything. So, when I fell and broke both wrists, I also chipped one of my teeth. And I had yet another new dentist, and I called him as best I could, and he said, I can fix it. Come in tomorrow, or today, whenever you want to come, I'll work in. So while I was there, and he was painting some stuff on the chip, he said, I said, there's stuff that doesn't look right up here. And he said, oh, you've got a fusion. And I said, I don't know what that means. And he said, you've got pus coming out of all 4 of your implants, pus. I'm like, whoa, pause. So that was more than 4 years ago. I went through 3 surgeries. I felt a lot perkier after I got the bad implants out, I'll tell you. But I had a prosthodontist who, she looked good at the beginning, and it wasn't that she was dangerous, but she was inexperienced. So finally, at the beginning of 2025, I went to the one that you have to wait like 2 or 3 months before you can ever get in the door. And she got me. I mean, I brought all these photographs, you know. I mean, this is what I used to look like for 10 or 12 years during the time I had the implants, those implants. I had never liked what I saw in the mirror. Now, I don't want to be superficial here. I'm superficial. I wanted my teeth to look like they had looked. I had these little bitty teeth, and I didn't know why I had such little bitty teeth. But because I had little bitty teeth, then when I smiled, my mouth kind of went down. And so, my new dentist fixed my teeth, and we just got it done, and it was yesterday that I got the new crowns alongside the bridge. My teeth looked, as I was driving away from her office, and I tipped my head up, and I looked in the mirror, and I thought, oh my God, I get to be her.
The lady with the big smile, Cynthia Rush. Okay, a few announcements. Hey, I want to let you guys know a secret. On January 23 in the big room, I'm hosting with Jackie and a few others a new storytelling show that's coming to town called Show and Tell. Show and Tell is a curated show. There'll be storytellers from Cincinnati, Dayton, Cleveland, Columbus, and Pittsburgh. And the theme is Show and Tell. So all the storytellers will be bringing an object and tell a story about that object. But that night will also be a chance for people in the audience to bring an object. We'll have a chance to share a 1-minute piece about the object they bring. It's a brand new thing we did in Pittsburgh a few months ago. How long ago was that now? Was that August? Holy cow, we were in Pittsburgh in August. Sold out this brewery, this fantastic show. We're doing it in Dayton, January 23rd. So you'll see it on the Story Slam site. Tickets will be available soon through the Bright Side, and we're still working on the final details, but January 23rd, it's a Friday night, I believe. It's a Friday night here at the Bright Side Show and Tell. You're going to love it. It's on an open mic. Storytellers, we already have our stories together, and I'll be on the list, and Jackie's on the list. Bridget Flaherty, Tejal, Dave Levy. So it's a stacked show. So you don't want to miss it. So you'll see ticket availability for that. It's a new show. It's traveling. We're going to do it again late spring, Cincinnati. So, but it's very similar all 3 cities. So it's something new that Jackie's been leading from Columbus with this new Story Swap Cooperative with all of us that produce shows in all those cities come together to do this one. It's a pretty kick-ass show. I'm not gonna lie. It was pretty cool. I mean, I'm biased. It was pretty cool. So we're doing that again here in January. So look for details for that. Story Slam next month is 23. It's like the 21st. So just early that week is Story Slam. So look for that in the new year. We're still here at the Bright Side as always. So look for that in the new year as well. With that, we have one more story, then I'll close. So judges, if you get your sheets when this is done, I'll collect those. We'll announce the winner. We'll hang out a little bit. We got one more story. But please welcome from Columbus, Ohio, Jackie Andrews.
So I love to throw a party, and I have done like surprise parties. I'm sure you guys have, you know, like a birthday party, an anniversary party, and whatever. But I am the only one that I know of that has ever thrown a surprise wedding, where the bride and groom did not know they were getting married. And if you want to know how this starts, you have to understand me. So I love a celebration a lot. I love Christmas. I love shopping with my grandchildren and doing the wrapping parties. I love trimming the trees. I love making ornaments. I love midnight mass in the quiet of night. And I love Easter. I love dyeing all the eggs and hiding them out in the woods. And the grandchildren come over and they find them and we hide them, and they find them and they hide them for hours. And I love the Easter Mass where we all dress up. And I love the 4th of July with all the fireworks and the excitement and the oohs and the ahs of a unified people, you know? It's just amazing. I love it. And I love all the little celebrations. I love birthdays and potlucks, and I love any gathering that we have. But maybe the pinnacle of all of this is weddings. A wedding is just the most amazing thing to me. It's like this man and this woman, and you're there on one of the happiest days of their life. You know, and when it's a family, there's this thing of like welcoming this new person and this dancing together, and I love it so much. Now, this isn't shared by everyone. My kid brother, when his daughter came to him and said she was getting married, he said, here's a check. You can go and plan your wedding. If you want a bigger wedding, use your own money. And if you want to just take that and go buy a house or do something else, do that. And that's kind of his attitude towards wedding. And she said, I'm going to have a wedding. She went to a venue. It was beautiful. I did the flowers and straw and dried lavender. I would just say it's lovely. And we danced and it was happy. And his son came to him and said, I'm going to get married. And he gave him the same check with the same caveat. And he said, we're going to the Justice of the Peace. And we're going to take the money and we're going to go to Europe. And something inside of me was like, oh no. And I said, that's okay, I can come down and we can do like a little get together after the Justice of the Peace. And he said, no, Aunt Jackie, we're just gonna go get married and then go to Europe. And part of me just crumbled. And I was out and I was shopping and I was thinking about his wife, Jill. I should mention here that his name is Jack. And I was thinking about welcoming Jill to the family, and as I'm thinking about this, I'm in a thrift store, and I find this magnificent wedding dress. And I think, well, I'm just going to buy it in case they change their mind. It looks like her size. And over the next few months, I find like this cute little flower girl dress. I'm like, well, that's just so adorable. It would fit my new. I'm just buying that just in case they change their mind. And I continued to collect things from thrift stores, little suits and little bridal gowns and and by the time it came family reunion, which is every single Labor Day, I had purchased a wedding. So I thought, I know they don't really want a wedding, but I'll just tell the family, keep it a secret. So I told him I needed him to be in a suit because I didn't buy a suit for him. So I called him and I said, you know, Grandma's in the nursing home, she's got a veteran wall. We really need your dad and you to wear your military blues and take a picture in front of this wall. And they show up at the family reunion and I send my brother over and I say, don't bring him back before an hour and a half. And they take off and we put card tables out in the lawn and my sister bakes a cake and we got the little cake topper and we do all the little hors d'oeuvres and we do everything else and I lay out the braided dress next to a wedding gown in case I can take it in, and they pull up and we're like all ready for the wedding and they're like, what's going on? And we said, well, just go out in the yard, I'll get her wedding dress on her. And I brush up her in and we begin to put on the wedding dress and I'm pinning it and I'm sewing it and I have a tiara and I have a short veil and I have a long veil and I'm like, pick out what you want, you're gonna get married today. and he's got his dress blues on and he's all ready and my brother comes in and he takes one look at Jill and she's beautiful. And he puts his arm out and he walks her out of the house into the lawn where the family is waiting. And we have the most beautiful wedding. And Jack and Jill got married, and if you don't know, I live at the top of the sledding hill. So Jack and Jill got married at the top of the hill and went off to Europe. And today they live happily in Georgia with Jack and Jill and Jake and June. And that's a celebration.
Jackie Andrews. If you love her stuff, just go to themoth.org, search Jackie Andrews. She's got a couple stories there. She's been on the radio. She's traveled the Moth. Fantastic, favorite storyteller. So look her up, Jackie Andrews. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Listen, this is what we do here. We're flexible. The Marines have the Semper Fidelis. You know, it's always faithful. Yeah, Semper Fi, right? You guys know, yeah, Semper Fi. Do you guys know Semper Gumby? That's always flexible. It's in the Latin. You got to dig real deep. So with that, thank you. You guys got that. That was awesome. Okay. You know who doesn't get that joke are Marines. They have a hard time with that joke. Okay, we have a last minute addition. And there are a few people in the world who can say, hey, you got time for one more? And we're like, it depends who you are, honestly. But this person, she owns the joint. So I'm like, hey, it's only 8 o'clock. Of course, who am I to say no? But you're in luck because Carly's a fantastic storyteller. She always brings a great story. Please welcome to the stage Carly Dixon to close the show tonight.
Thank you for humoring me on this. I've been thinking about this story. It was going to be my PK topic, but it's not very slide worthy. So this is a much better, I think, arena for this story. January 4th of 2024, my high school aged daughter dropped out of high school. It wasn't out of the blue. I was involved in the decision. It took almost 2 years to actually land on that decision. I was my class president. I was the leader of all of the clubs. I graduated with honors. I went to college on a scholarship, and I thought I raised kids with comparable interests, skill sets, etc. Motivation, desire, whatever those checklists are that we sort of identify as the things that keep us on track and being successful. My daughter's a different kid. She's kind of like her dad. He left here early because probably he wanted to take his shoes off and a jacket and not conform. He's really a creative mind and a creative guy. He didn't do well in high school either. So there are things that make sense about this whole story. So I helped her navigate this decision. And where do you start? I don't know. I'm like the A-type, you know? We did a pros and cons. It's pros and cons on the chalkboard at home. And every time I looked at the pros and cons checkboard, everywhere where there was a positive was a corresponding negative and vice versa to all of the possibilities, until we just changed the paradigm entirely and said, what if we stopped doing this at all? What does that look like? And I was always that person that said, if my kids are at a place where they're really struggling, I think I'll do whatever it takes. Does it mean that I become the road trip mom and we're like vlogging, or I'll do it? Well, I was in that moment. I was facing it. That pros and cons checklist looked amazing the second we added a third column, which was screw it. Let's just do what we want to do. Let's make our own path. So we all as a family made the decision. We made the phone call. There are consequences to this. It involves like threats of the police might come, or there might be $500 a day charge. There's some stuff we had to navigate that I had to navigate as the responsible adult. But I did that. I made her an advent calendar. It was a countdown to that final January 4th date. And it was 24 reasons why this was the best idea ever. The last one was a diagram showing sort of the, like, how we get on kind of a conveyor belt of life. And then there was just this like sprightly kid running away from it off to sort of a fairy forest. And I said, this is what's waiting for you, kiddo. It took about 6 months of her mostly being in her bedroom, looking at the phone, and me wondering and crying and reconsidering and regretting. And then she met a boy who wanted to go be a ski lift operator out in Utah. And she fell in love with him, and then he left to go be the ski lift operator. And then I found her on the social media page of that ski resort trying to apply for a job. And I thought, well, this is not the bedroom and this is not looking at the phone. So I just told her, kiddo, if you really want a job, get on Indeed. And 1 month later, she landed a job. She got on a plane, she flew out there, she found a place to live. She bought herself her first round of groceries, which was cereal, milk, and a really large shrimp cocktail because that's like 4 days of protein. That was last year. She came home, got her driver's license, got in her Subaru, drove herself back to her job, and the email that I got last week said, I would like to say a shout out is well deserved for the staff in the equipment issue room, especially Izzy, for the exceptional service to other employees. It truly is what the Deer Valley difference is. So I'm celebrating my kiddo and that hard choices can sometimes be the right ones.
Carly Dixon, our host. That menu is a lot like my first menu when I moved to Baton Rouge after college, so I don't think that $50,000 tuition did any different for the diet. So kudos to her, and she's in Deer Valley. I was in a crummy apartment in Bell Fountain. Not the same. That's no joke. This is true stories. Okay, if you have I didn't plan well enough. I need to get the slips. Mingle amongst yourselves.
The mic is free. So listen, I want you guys to take your phones and go to storyswap.org, okay? This is that collaboration between 5 cities. So it's between Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh. But what's cool about that is if you go to the menu and you go to the calendar, it will tell you all the storytelling things in this region. So like tomorrow night, Columbus has Speakeasy. You can go to Speakeasy, it's a sign up, it's an open mic, or you can just enjoy the stories about Reunion, right? Or the next week, we're gonna go down to Louisville and you can go down to the Moth, or you can go up to Ann Arbor. All of that is on one calendar if you go to storyswap.org. So if you get a minute, go to storyswap.org and look at the things that are happening there, okay? And it'll kind of keep you connected in with the storytelling community. Again, it's storyswap.org. Thanks. Thank you.
You heard what she said, storyswap.org. You can ask us again and again, but ask her. When I say us, I mean her. Got it? Got it. Okay, so celebration. People have asked questions. So I was a city councilman in Kettering. I ran for mayor. I won. It's pretty cool. It's scary as hell, but I won. So my quick one-liners, I'm now, on January 1, I'll be the 12th mayor of Ohio's 13th largest city. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's insane, actually. I have a desk. I sat at it today. It's very weird. He's like, hey, here's your desk. I'm like, you're the city manager. He's like, that's your desk. I'm like, this is weird. So it's very bizarre. As bizarre as it is for you to know a mayor who's funny on the mic, it's weirder to be the mayor on the mic. So people ask, like, hey, so what does it look like on election night? So I'm going to paint you a story. It's 7 o'clock. The polls close at 7:30. I made a pledge with my team. We were not going to be the people yelling at you in the parking lot and giving you flyers in the parking lot when you're trying to vote. We were not those people. By Tuesday, minds were made up. Right? There was not going to change your mind in the parking lot. So we decided we're not doing that. I went to work. I have a day job with a team, and I went to the day job. And that's what we did on election day. I come home. We had dinner. My wife is former military. We eat dinner at 5:15. That's what we do. Then we do the dishes by hand. We don't own a dishwasher. We're simple people. And then I sat down with my laptop and iPad and my phone, because 2 screens are not enough when you're nervous and scared. You should have 3 screens, plus the TV, and waiting on the results. Now, I know some people. So at 7:30, the results should have been live for all the early and absentee voting, right? We knew it was going to be about 15% of the total vote. That's a good barometer of how things are going to go. I'm scared to death. I poured my first whiskey at 7:45. If you're curious, it was Weller 12. That's my favorite. That's what we had. It's the good stuff because it's election night. And I'm about to lose. I'm going to be drinking the good stuff. And I wasn't so sure, so the Pappy was still on the shelf. We stuck with the Weller 12 because I'm not an idiot, right? That's a special bottle. We don't know if we're going to win, so we're going Weller 12. You know, and that's fine. Well, 7:45, there are no results, but I get a text from somebody at the Board of Elections. I'm not going to say who he is, but he's high up, and he says, it's looking good. Like, what does that mean? It's very cryptic text. It's looking good. So I'm texting the team. I have a team thread of all the people that did this thing. I'm like, it's looking good. What's that mean? I don't know what it means, but the guy at the Board of Elections is looking good. At 8 o'clock, the first results come out, and we crushed early voting. I guess it's good. Yeah, it was very fun. So I'm less nervous, so I pour a second drink. Now, in the house, let me give you the setting. We're in the family room. Some of you have been in that family room. It's just me on my one couch, and then my wife on the other couch, and the two cats between us. That's the end of the party. She's loaded up with the countertop ice maker and all the Diet Mountain Dew she can stock up because she's staying up late. Bedtime's 9, but tonight's special. And so the next round of results come in at about 8:30. I get a text 10 minutes before, hey, it's looking really good. And we wait. 10 minutes later, results pop up. It's looking really good, so I'm feeling good. Well, by 9:30, I had done the math. We had won at 9:30, but the results weren't in yet, but we knew. So I sent out a text to all the people, and then the thing happened at 9:45. Channel 2 News called. And I know those folks. I work in PR. And they're like, we'd like to do an interview. I'm like, are you at a party where you can get away? I'm like, yeah. We'll get them to quiet down. The cats are asleep. My wife's on her second 2-liter Diet Mountain Dew. It's not a raucous party, right? I'm 2 drinks in, but it's under control. He's like, we'd like to do it by Zoom. I remember the outfit that I wore to Temple Beth Orr 2 years ago. I'm just a step down from that. I'm like, I need to go put on a button-down shirt and comb my hair because we weren't prepared. So at 9:55, I'm getting dressed because I was in pajamas because nobody can see me through the TV or the laptop. And I do, so there's no lie, I'm in a pair of pajama gym shorts. They've never seen a gym. Gym shorts and a button-down shirt that I've got up, and I went to the bathroom, I combed my hair real quick, and I have literally my laptop on a stack of coffee table books from the foyer and some canned goods to get the laptop in the right place, and did a Zoom call from my dining room table at my celebration party where I become the mayor of the second largest city in Montgomery County. That's what the celebration looked like, because we weren't prepared to win. We were prepared to thank volunteers and prepared to thank the 90 people who donated the $25,000 it cost to run for office. I wasn't prepared to win. So in my pajamas and a button-down shirt, with a laptop on some canned goods, I did the evening news at Channel 2. And then Jim Baldoff called from the Dayton Daily, who's great. We know each other. That was easy. She doesn't want pictures, so she could see it. It's the best part about print newspaper still. People said, you wish you had a party, and I don't think so. I think we did it the right way. We were there and ready to go to work the next day, and that's what we did. I went to work the next day on my day job. We're there, very funny, by the way. Lots of confetti on my desk. I'm still finding it in places. We went to work because I still have a day job. It's very important that for my team and I to be there. So that was a weird celebration. So next time we'll do it up a little better. We'll rent a room here. We'll put it on a big screen. You guys can all come out and we'll toast together. But back on November 4th was me and Charlie and Lucy the cats, my wife Melissa, and a lot of Diet Mountain Dew. And that's how we celebrated a big win in Kettering. Okay, thank you guys for being here tonight. A few announcements. Look for Story Swap in January. It's going to be great. It's a new thing. You're going to love the stories a little longer, but it's just a stellar lineup. Look for tickets to sale. We'll announce it on Story Slam, and Story Swap will have it. You'll see all the promos, and it'll be a great time. I'd love to see you back for that. Bring your friend. It's going to be great, I promise. So tonight we have a winner. So the way this works for you new folks, every month we choose a winner. So judges in the audience scored them. They score them on, is it well-constructed, beginning, middle, end? Was it on theme? Was it close to on time, which is 5 to 5.5 minutes? Did the audience love it? Was a good story? The winner gets $50 cash and 4 tickets. I know, $50 cash. And 4 tickets to come back anytime they want. But more importantly, the winner of every month gets invited back to the Grand Slam in June, where all the monthly winners from September to May take the stage in one night. So mark your calendars for the third Wednesday in June. We'll have all the winners back on that night on the stage. But tonight's winner, I would say it's close, but it's a lie. It wasn't close. Second, third, fourth are very close. But first place tonight goes to Sarah Kaplan. And the latke making. Questions about latke recipes, see her, don't buy them at the shelves at Kroger. Get the recipe from Kaplan. Thank you for being here tonight. Good night. We got time to mingle before we get out of here. So thank you guys. See you next month. I'm out of practice. All 6 storytellers to the stage, please. Shannon, Donnie, Keith, Sarah, Cynthia, Jackie, and Carly. That's 7 storytellers to the stage for pictures. Adam's going to get pictures. All 7 storytellers to the stage. And Carly is coming, and Cynthia's coming. That's everybody. Thank you.
Wow, someone bumped it.